Hi, I'm Jennifer Martin, President and CEO of Junior Achievement and a proud Albertan and Canadian. And I'm joined today by Dr. Bill Bewick, the Executive Director of Fairness Alberta. Hi again, Bill.
Hello, Jennifer.
Well, a lot has changed since we last talked a few months ago. Tell me about how the pandemic and COVID-19 is changing the work of your organization.
In some respects, a lot has changed, obviously, but given that we are looking at some of the structural issues in Canada and the sort of history of provincial federal agreements and fiscal transfers and economic policies, not much has changed. Now, on the other hand, though, a lot of it has become more acute because Alberta, I think, is facing a double whammy here because everybody's facing the economic downturn from closing everything, but Alberta on top of that has had a price war exacerbated by a shock in demand for oil and energy products. So Alberta, I think, has even more at stake right now than it did in the past, and more at stake than a lot of other provinces. So on the one hand, things haven't changed too much, but on the other hand, I feel like there's going to be such a need to get the entire economy of Canada back on track. And Alberta's been such a huge engine for that in the past that I hope there'll be a more receptive audience to some of our requests to really rethink how we've been doing things, whether it's fiscal fairness or other economic policies that have held Alberta's back from achieving its potential. And right now, more than ever, we need every province to be firing on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm. I know that there's a lot of Albertans who feel that the story maybe hasn't been well told about the efforts to produce oil from this province as cleanly as possible. And I also know that Albertans want to share the wealth and want to help other provinces refill their coffers after so much spending has happened with COVID. But at the same time, to have a fair deal, it's interesting to think that Albertans for the first time are considering being a have-not province, and so they won't be able to send any money to Ottawa. So much has changed. You mentioned that you were postponing your launch. What is happening now? Are you going ahead?
Yeah, we are. We had planned to go a few months ago, but that was sort of in the peak when everything was inundating us and there was a lot of anxiety and everybody was focused on the pandemic. But we feel like now people are starting to shift away to thinking about what's next and how can we get out of this on the economic side once things do fully open up. And so I think it's a good time for us to start putting out some ideas and in particular reminding Canadians, and that's one thing that we want to focus on is reminding Canadians how much Albertans have contributed. So when different issues are getting decided in other parts of the country, it's hopefully, if not top of mind, then at least close to top of mind for people to think about how much Alberta has done in the past and could do in the future with the right policy decisions.
Hundreds of billions of dollars from this company flowing, from this province rather, flowing to Ottawa and the other provinces. So tell me, it is interesting to see that the world demand for oil is already starting to come back. We know long term it will too. We'd certainly love to be able to sell our oil and let all Canadians benefit from those sales to the rest of the world. What differentiates your organization, though, from some others that we see in Alberta who have a voice as well? What's the difference between Fairness Alberta and some of the others' voices of maybe discontent?
Yeah, well, I think the last word you said there strikes the right note. There is a lot of discontent, and different groups are approaching or trying to respond to that in different ways. There's some groups that are focused on energy education and awareness and telling the energy story. that's great. That's obviously a huge part of Alberta's story. Other groups are focused on just highlighting what the discontents are to kind of clarify and raise awareness about those. And that's also an important part of the story, and we'll be doing a bit of that. But I think what sets Fairness Alberta apart is that we are genuinely interested in taking our message in an educational fashion, nonpartisan, trying to dampen the passions a little bit, but just present some clear facts to the rest of Canada on why Albertans have such discontent, how much Alberta has contributed in the past, like you said. I mean, $324 billion net contribution to all of Canada. That means works out to over $40,000 per family outside of Alberta. If a benefit that came from our wealth and prosperity and hard work. And we're happy to be net contributors, but we really want to focus, shine a light on some of the programs that don't seem to be offering value for those contributions, and some of the chronic ways in which Albertans have not been able to achieve their potential. And so if we can change some of the economic policies that can get Alberta back to being an economic powerhouse that helps the whole country, and also change some of the programs that make things more efficient and fair, we can solve a lot of that discontent and hopefully have a much stronger province and country to show for it.
Well, good luck to you, and I look forward to staying posted on the work of Fairness Alberta.